since you're not going to watch the rest of Dynamite, you want to do the ratings?
Well, yeah, let's talk about that for a minute, because honestly, I'm wondering whether somebody may have gotten some instructions wrong, because I think they wanted a padded cell, but they got a cardboard room. Because I think Tony has completely lost his mind at this point. Somebody needs to check on him. If he thinks this shit is good, even if Uncle Dave is telling him that to keep his subscriber base happy, somebody's got to be honest about doing an evaluation on Tony at this point, don't they?
Who's going to do it? The only person that could step in is his dad, because everyone else is just going to tell him what he wants to hear. And if you're going to be the person that doesn't tell him that, who's going to back you up? You know, there've been rumors about a sit down with various talents and him to talk about the problems. The show just keeps getting worse, and they're doubling down on the bad shit. Now they're starting to incorporate the Bucks back into it. The Bucks who aren't over. The Bucks who are making more money than any tag team. The Underbucks. They're making more money than any tag team in history, and they're not over. They don't even sell merch anymore. So, nothing but issues.
As far as sitting somebody down with him, I would have said maybe, I don't know, the head legal officer of the company. But I understand now that old Megan has been transferred away from a lot of AEW duties over the past few months, is concentrating on other things, hadn't been as close to the wrestlers and the wrestling as she once was. Somebody else is handling a lot of that.
Well, at least not as close to the wrestling, but yeah, the reports came out that she's been focusing on other areas of the Khan family business from the Jacksonville offices, and you know, I think we could say we heard rumors a little while back, and we still don't know if they're true or not, but the rumor we heard from someone in the know was that she was suspended. But now we have to question whether she was suspended or just moved completely away from AEW, because for everyone who said Jim was making stuff up and Jim's going to get sued, when Jim alluded to the idea that she had relationships with wrestlers and with talent that was Laurinaitis-ian? How did you put it? Laurinaitis?
It was very Laurinaitis-ish.
That's what it was.
Yes.
Well, it turns out that may have been right.
Well, at least I ain't been served yet. So we'll see what happens there.
We'll see what happens there. Any other thoughts on Mega leaving AEW?
No, I was just saying, you know, somebody that could sit down with Tony that maybe he'd listen to. But, you know, if she's been transferred over to where she's handling some other field of endeavor entirely, because she obviously, you know, you don't often move people away from shit they've done a bang-up job at. It's just one thing I was thinking. But nevertheless, what were the ratings?
You also don't want executives that want to party with the wrestlers. That's not what you want. I don't care what wrestling company you are. You don't want executives that want to party with the wrestlers.
No, unless it's Eddie Murphy and Rick James, because they like to party all the time.
Well, you've made several references recently to that song.
I've had that song running through my head. I like to party all the time. Eddie Murphy couldn't sing. He couldn't carry a tune if it had handles on it.
Must be contagious.
But you put Rick James in the background of anything, it sounds funky. And that's what he did. He just did some background singing for his friend Eddie and got him a hit there. Drowned him out, as a matter of fact, also.
Well, Jim, let's talk about what's been happening with the ratings here. AEW Dynamite on TBS November 15th, 2023. The overall rating for the show was 823,000 viewers.
You know, this has got to be some kind of, I don't know if it's a record or a streak or whatever. Has there ever been any television program ever that did the same rating within 50,000 people plus or minus for goddamn like 5 months, 6 months at a time? It's the same people, isn't it? And how many of them are going to give up and jump ship before the fucking journey through hysteria is through?
Well, we shall find out. These numbers were compiled by WrestleNomics. Quarter 1, the recap of last week's events, including the made-up room with the mystery window and no door, followed by Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta versus Hook and Orange Cassidy with picture-in-picture, 966,000 viewers.
Jesus Christ. Again, they get handed 1 million people every week and they can't fucking keep them to save their life because it's this dreck with these children. And as you're reading these things, you're going to see why we're not watching the rest of this show. And Pocket's on first again, and the plumber. That's not foreboding well for the rest of the program. Go ahead.
No, and I wish I hadn't watched it if I knew you weren't going to watch it, but quarter
Well,
two.
I was going to watch it until I watched the bicycle races.
Quarter two, 8:15 to 8:30 p.m. The continuation of Moxley and Yuta versus Hook and Cassidy, an ad break, and the Swerve Strickland Adam Page live promo, which may have been the one other thing on this episode I probably thought you should have watched, but that segment, 842,000 viewers.
Jesus Christ on a cracker, 124,000 people said, fuck it.
Pockets. And the Young Bucks, most of the time are the things that the next segment, either the continuation of segment one or just the next segment after them, there's a big drop. You lose people. And the women. Pockets, the Bucks, and the women.
Yeah, I thought you meant you lost the women, but they don't have any of those to begin with.
They lost those a long time ago.
So by the average, they can't really go too much further, can they? Well, go ahead.
Well, quarter three, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m., the Roderick Strong, Adam Cole backstage conversation on the monitor. Once again, they went to the monitor by just pressing a button on the phone as quickly as possible. Plus the beginning, or I guess the entirety, of Sky Blue versus Red Velvet with picture-in-picture, 813,000 viewers.
Well, there goes another 29,000.
Quarter four, 8:45 to 9 p.m., a Miro video, an ad break, Mariah May meeting Toni Storm backstage in both color and black and white. Samoa Joe versus Joe Cruz, and Tony Khan and Bryan Danielson backstage for Tony Khan announcing, was this where he made the announcement or is this just a recap of that? But the upcoming round robin G1 style tournament that's coming to AEW.
Oh, good Lord. They're gonna,
or Champions Carnival, depending on what you prefer.
That's going to confuse the fuck out of everybody that hasn't watched Japanese wrestling for 30 years straight.
It's going to be very interesting, especially who's going to be in these brackets, but we'll get there.
And that is very intricately booked going back to the days of Baba in the 80s, right? Is Tony up to something like that, or is he just going to put matches together and it's not going to fucking come out right?
With rare exceptions, like when Hara had to leave All Japan due to his gambling issues and Kawada filled in with Tenryu and they got to the finals, other than something like that, or Jimmy Snuka and Bruiser Brody just walking off the train and not coming back to New Japan, usually I believe these were all planned out well in advance with the idea of whatever happens there furthering other things in the company going forward.
Oh, yeah, Tony will be all over this. Okay, go ahead. Quarter four.
That was quarter four. 808,000 viewers.
5 more. So they've stopped some of the momentum that they're dropping at, but they're still dropping. Now they're at the top of the 9 o'clock hour. Where do we go from here?
Quarter five, the big 9 o'clock hour. The Young Bucks.
Oh, boy.
Versus Commander and Penta El Zero Miedo.
Yeah, that's another reason why we ain't watching this shit.
With picture-in-picture and their family in the front row. 812,000 viewers. So a big bump for the 9 o'clock hour with the Bucks.
A big bump of plus 4,000 people for the 9 o'clock hour and these guys in their hometown.
Well, we now go to quarter...
I believe they got a little further to fall, don't they?
Quarter six, the big 9:15 hour. Young Bucks and Kenny Omega backstage, followed by the Guns versus Jacoby Wyatt and Peter Avalon, followed by a Wardlow video, and the first 3 minutes of the Dragon Gaiden street fight match, or whatever it was, 804,000 viewers.
Jesus. So the Bucks effect is in full effect. The Bucks show up on a screen. They lose viewers. They basically lost twice as many as they gained at the top of the hour, 8,000. So now we're at our official lowest point in the show. In an hour and a half, they've lost 162,000 viewers.
Well, we will now go to quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m., the big 9:45 quarter. Kota Ibushi, Paul White, Chris Jericho, and Kenny Omega versus Brian Cage, Konosuke Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, and Powerhouse Hobbs, the continuation of that match, with picture-in-picture twice, 783,000 viewers.
Main event, garbage match, people risking their fucking health, doing a bunch of phony-looking shit, loses them another 21,000 people with all their main event talent in this fucking thing, and their new signee.
And finally, quarter 8, and we do have an overrun here I'll get to. Quarter 8, the conclusion of the big 8-man tag Gaiden street fight, an ad break, and MJF's live promo and confrontation with Jay White, leading to the overrun of 1 minute of the Bullet Club Gold attacking and beating down MJF.
Oh, Jesus. So he gets laid out again this week.
Well, to end the show, but again, if you have a DVR, you may have missed it. 764,000 for quarter 8, and for the 1 minute overrun, 759,000.
Oh my God, the people now that want to watch the fucking program that follows AEW are tuning in 5 minutes late so they don't have to see any of it.
Turner time.
Good Lord. So they ended up, they lost that match as it was going on, and even with MJF afterwards, they lost another 19,000 people, and the overrun put them 207,000 below where they started the program, which is more than 20%.
I know you didn't watch, but I didn't see any mention or any actual physical bottles of Ric Flair's energy drink.
I didn't hear it mentioned during the bicycle races, and you would think that you could, drink some of those alien spore mushrooms and it would help you ride the bicycle better. Maybe that's what old Coda's problem was. He hadn't stocked up on any goddamn Ric Flair drip before he went out there. Or is that his drip or is his drink? Or
no, that's his bullshit weed brand that apparently gets
his
bad
drink
reviews.
is not a drip. His drip is his weed. And his drink is mushrooms.
Well, they announced they had
what does he sell with heroin in it?
Well, they announced they had a deal with Ric Flair, and then they announced they had a sponsorship deal with his energy drink, and then we have not seen or heard either on TV again since all the fans raised a stink about it. AEW
but I mean, if they signed the deal, they're going to have to do it unless they didn't sign the deal. And what'd you say, Brian? If you got a deal with no deal, that's not a deal.
A deal without a deal isn't a deal. That's right. Well, those were the Dynamite ratings. Another banner week for AEW. And Jim, you look at some of their merchandise statistics that go around, at least what's public, and you see who moves merch and who doesn't. And traditionally, people like CM Punk move a lot of merch. Danhausen at various points moved a lot of merch. But perhaps you were a wrestler that did not think AEW is doing a good enough job on merch or bringing enough stuff to the arenas. Maybe you want to create your own online store and not work with any of the companies that they got their hands all over the place getting money from everyone. Maybe you want to set up your own store and you can do that with Shopify.
Maybe you want to cut down on the length of the transition and just take it from me, folks, that if you want to sell something, then the folks at Shopify are the people you need to speak to sell it, because you can't just hire, your wife to do, your merchandising just because she's from Cucamonga. Or you may not be able to, maybe able to trust Tony Khan or somebody like that to be a salesperson just because they happen to have billions of dollars. It's a special technique. You got to know how to sell stuff, and you got to have the platform behind you that can do it. And our friends at Shopify, I bet you, I don't want to make any boast that I can't back up, but I bet you that Shopify are so good at selling things, they could even sell tickets to AEW wrestling events. I don't know, maybe crazy there.
They're a great company, and we certainly were talking about them. We endorse them. A lot of people use them. A lot of people love them. I don't think they can do that, so I don't think we should say that.
Well, I don't know whether anybody can do that at this point or not, but Shopify can sell you everything else, folks. If you've got a company and you got something to sell, you need Shopify working for you, because they give you the platform to expand and help you sell at every stage of your business. They're a global commerce platform. That means they go all around the world. They're not just right here in Poughkeepsie. They're They're over there in Greater Slovakia, too. And whether you're auctioning autographed apparel or selling sleek skis, I love that alliteration in this copy. Shopify helps you sell everywhere. They got an all-in-one e-commerce platform. They've got an in-person POS system. And we've established from Brian telling me that that's not a system to determine whether a person is a piece of shit, but point of sale is what you're telling me, Brian.
That is indeed what I'm telling you and what Shopify is telling you.
Well, wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify is great for it. They help you turn browsers into buyers. And if they're working on that too, they can, as a matter of fact, I used to know this girl. She was a magician. I was driving down the road with her in my car one day. She touched my leg. I turned into a motel. But they can help you turn browsers into buyers because their platform is like magic, up to 36% better compared to other leading commerce platforms. And when you get in between 35 and 40% better, well, fuck, that's just swell. And they're owl-powered, so that you got owl on your side. Oh, that's AI again, isn't it? Shouldn't they put a little dot over the I because it looks so much like owl?
Well, they never use a lowercase I.
Well, that they should, a little dot over it. But nevertheless, with Shopify Magic, which is powered by AI, you can make brand new people up. It's all artificial intelligence powered, so you can just make people and have them work for you and do your bidding.
Well, not exactly, but kind of actually, yeah.
Well, there you go. So once again, Shopify powers 10% of all the e-commerce in the United States and much of it in Bolivia. And Shopify is a global force behind many of the brand names and the entrepreneurs that you see and deal with every day across 175 countries, because businesses that grow with Shopify. And Brian, do you know how much that you're going to have to pay to get this invaluable service to make yourself a multimillionaire, to retire to a South Pacific island with millions of strippers hanging around your neck?
$1,000.
$1 a month. $1 a month is the trial period at shopify.com/JCE. That's all lowercase, by the way, the JCE. Shopify.com/JCE in lowercase. $1 a month trial period for Shopify to come in and renovate your whole fucking way of doing business and get you on the right path and build you a platform that you can be proud of, that you can jump up and down on this platform. It won't break. It's sturdy. Shopify. Gonna make you money.
That's right.